Good morning, and welcome to the Sunday, March 13th worship service at the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, Florida. It is lovely to see each of one of you of all ages. My name is Reverend Ben, and it is my honor to be the minister here. And I'm especially excited to bring today's worship service alongside our worship associate, Beth Stombaugh.
I don't think so. Oh, we are a people of many beliefs, but we share a common faith that what we do in this world matters, and that we are connected to one another and to our planet. Whoever you are, wherever you are, in your journey, you are welcome here. I want to give a special welcome to any newcomers. If you want a church where Black Lives Matter, where disability rights are human rights, and where it is okay to say gay, I have good news. You may have found your church home.
Thanks, Beth. I'm sorry. Thanks, Beth.
Today is New Member Sunday, and we are thrilled that 5 new members will be signing our book during the worship service. El Maldonado, Ruby Atwood, Juliana Capabianca, and Ashley Healy.
Thanks, Beth. Beth and I are going to be leading worship from the ground floor here today. And if you can't see Beth, feel free to move until you can. And if you really wish that you could see her, you can help with the team that is building a lift so that our chancel will be accessible for everyone.
Yes. Joys, Sorrows, and Concerns will be read by Reverend Ben and myself today. Please fill out a card that's near where you enter and pass it forward if you'd like one to be read today.
The organizers of the Friday night picnic are hosting a renaming contest. Turns out the word picnic took on racist connotations about a century ago, so please help them think of an alternative. Friday night something, and let them know. And the contest does not include telling them why actually the word picnic isn't racist. So you will be disqualified if you send them Snopes links or something like that. No, see, you're wrong, because this is, and then you'll be forced to read the Philadelphia Inquirer article that I actually found that is quite informative on this. You won't be forced to read it because we don't have a creed. We're Unitarian Universalists. But I will gently give you the link to the Philadelphia Inquirer article. Anyway, help them think of a new name.
We will be having a pancake breakfast on April 3rd after the worship service. This will be a congregational event that everyone is invited to attend, a celebration of being together, renewing friendships and acquaintances.
We have so many social justice things going on. I will mention 2 of them. Hi, Jerry. We have been hard at work raising money, raising equipment, and donating to relief efforts in Ukraine ever since we heard about Putin's aggression and ever since some of us got to visit the Ukrainian Catholic Church. They had a very large fundraising goal, but Virginia tells me they met it. Hi, Virginia. Hi, Cal. They're just walking in and $51,000. They've reached their goal. They've reached the goal for supplies, but the insert in your order of service is still correct, right, Virginia? You're like, maybe. I'm so glad you're here. They still. $20 pallets of supplies. Yeah, that's worth a clapping for. Thank you so much. Sorry. Yeah, we do. Thank you, Virginia. Sorry to surprise you as you're walking in. For those who didn't hear, they don't need supplies anymore. We put out the word for supplies. They don't need that anymore, but they need money because these 20 pallets need to be sent over, and so they need to pay for that. Okay, I got it. Pat Fling is here. Where's Pat? From there. Hey, Pat. So Pat and the others in this congregation who are active with FAST want to let us know that the big event of the year is the Nehemiah Action, and that's on Monday, March 28th. I know many of you will be there. I'm going to try to be there even though I have Mondays off. And we are, in fact, chartering a bus. Is that what we're doing? Fantastic. So see Pat or other FAST members if you wanted more information about that. John Arterton and James Mack are providing music today with Kelly Olson doing the live streaming. Our greeters, I haven't even said hi to the greeters. I don't know who our greeters are. But thank you. It looks like Dave Cole, I see, is one greeter. Our church bell was rung by our new members, Ashley Healy and Juliana Capobianco. So give a round of applause for them for ringing the bell before they've even signed the book, putting it into work. So let's take a moment to center ourselves for today's worship service.
Our flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It is a symbol of hope, the sacred, the quest for truth, the warmth of community, the light of reason, and so much more. Our new member, Ruby Atwood, lit the chalice, and now we invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words can be found in the text chat. I invite you all to follow along with the new hand movements. Oops. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning, John.
We're going to sing Around to begin today's service. It's number 188 in your hymn book. And I'm going to ask Sabina and Joanne and James to help me. There are going to be 4 different sections. Ooh, this is going to be a small section over here. You're going to be number 1. You're going to be number 2. Virginia, how about some enthusiasm? Okay, this is going to be group 3 back here, and this is going to be group 4 over here. Joanne will lead number 4. Sabina, would you go back and do group 3 over here? James, if you do number 2, I'll do number 1. So we're all going to sing it together once all the way through, and then number 1's going to start. And then 2 will come in at the right moment. James will cue you. And then Sabina will bring in number 3, and Joanne will bring in number 4. And when I start waving my arms madly, after we're really bored with it, then we'll bring it to a close. Okay? No, you're okay right there. All together now. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again. All right, group 1. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, okay, hold it. Sorry. Yeah, if we're going to do this, we should probably do it correctly. Yep. Yep. So, yeah, it's only 4 bars, and then you bring group 2 in, and I'll try it right where group 1 starts, if you would, Aaron. And come, a little faster. Come, whoever you are. Group 2, worshiper. Group 3, come, come. Group 4, come, come, whoever you are. Come, whoever you are. Come, come. Group 1, come. Group, come, come. Come, come. Come. Yet again. Come yet. Perfection has been achieved.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, John.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Come yet again. Come, come, by Rumi. Kathy McGowan says that as Unitarian Universalists, we hold our relationships at the center of our faith tradition. Because of this, how we are together is most sacred. Our promises of how we are going to be are held in our covenants. Our covenants are our aspirations of how we are going to make ourselves and the world a better place. UUSP is now on the road to recovery. UUSP is working hard to face its current challenges, heal, and re-engage members. We understand that members are hungry for covenant groups, in-person worship services, small group discussions, music diversity, and growth of our RE program. The charge of the newly formed transition team is to look back at our UUSP history and learn about our challenges and accomplishments, assess where we are now, and collaboratively develop a vision for our future. Here's the good news. Each of us will be involved in this journey. We will be asking you to contribute to our timeline. This mining of our history and perhaps our souls will help us identify issues that need to be resolved prior to moving into the future. As we work together through the many challenges we face as a community, we will also begin to imagine our new identity. What is it that our congregation is called to be? The transition team will reach out to covenant groups, committees, coffee hour attendees, and other groups and individuals. We are counting on you to help us reach every member in this necessary spiritual exchange. Please come along with us as we embrace the opportunities that await us. And we really would like all of you to put in your opinions. And so we would like the covenant groups to be involved with this, as well as the committee members. And if you have any additional information that you'd like to give us, the transition team members are Reverend Ben Atherton Zeman. And if you could raise your hand or stand up if you're here. Michael Pohl. Myself, Sabina Von Allach, and Rebecca Wilson. He's up there. So please feel free to contact us at any time if you have any suggestions and things you would like to add that might not have been put into notes during your covenant groups or your committee meetings to bring to the transition team. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Beth. And now it's the time in our worship service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. So if you have a card filled out, bring it forward or give it to Dave and he'll bring it to me. Otherwise, we will go with what has been received already. Now, during the week, you can write to me, minister@uustpete.org, with your joys, your sorrows, and concerns. And those of you, oh, hey, I haven't said hello to the YouTube live audience. Hi, YouTube live audience. I know that you're there, and you can actually just type your joys, sorrows, and concerns into the text chat, and that'll be simple, and that audience can see them, and we can see them later. If you're writing to me during the week and you want your joy or your sorrow to remain offline, please mention that. Otherwise, it's going on YouTube. I forgot to ask someone to do the stones in the water. Would anyone be willing to do that when we? Okay, great. Jade, if you could come up and put the stones in the water. It's Jade, everyone. Going to do the stones in the water. Thank you. So our first stone is from our new member, El Maldonado. And El just published their first children's book. What? Congratulations, El! That was yours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to do the next one.
And it will be sold in 3 local bookstores. Next, we have a stone of concern. Let us send our strength and love to the people of Ukraine.
Okay. I'll read this stone of joy from Beth Stombaugh. Beth is grateful for all our wonderful volunteers at UUSP who work together despite disagreements to make the church a wonderful place to be. Thanks for all your hard work, says Beth.
Next, we have a joy. Baseball is back from Jamie Gray.
Who? Jamie. 2 stones of healing from Dr. Amy Carson, who asks us to send prayers to her mother and her brother. They are both having health crises. That's all I have. Do you?
I have one more.
Okay.
Oh, no, I don't.
No, you don't.
Never mind.
And we place one final stone, if you would, Jade, for all those joys, sorrows, and concerns that remain in our hearts, maybe too tender to be spoken out loud. And let us take a moment of silence together. The mystery is that we are connected, even when we feel apart. Let us rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one. So may it be.
Spirit of life, come unto
me, come to me.
I made an error earlier and I said there were 5 people to sign the membership book when there were only 4, but it turns out I was right. James is here, I heard. Young James. Oh, hey, how are you, sir? Great. Willing and able to sign the book? Fantastic, James. Good to see you. So I was right about the 5 and I missed James's name, so I look forward to seeing you during that part, James. Right now, if you can ask the children to come forward for our time for all ages. Books over there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where do you want it somewhere else?
That's fine. Oh, I guess here. Thank you for your help there. Like, you have a seat. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I have to use it. Hey, have a seat.
Have a seat.
Hey.
Have a seat.
Come on up, kiddos. Just go ahead and have a seat on the stairs.
Just
Doing great. You get the applause just for being here and sitting on the stairs. Well done. Seriously, it means a lot to the adults that you're here and to me as well. So we have a story today. So there's 6 of you. Raise your hand if any of you have friends. You all have friends. Great. Okay, this is like last week. Everyone had bodies. So do you have friends that, raise your hand if you have friends that you really, really like. Okay. Now raise your hand if you have friends that most of you like, but sometimes you don't like them so much. Yeah, I have friends like that too. This is going to be the story of 2 friends. Frog will be played by Kermit the Frog. We got a yay for Kermit the Frog. And Toad will be played by Janae Johnson, who is not usually this grumpy, but is going to be grumpy for this role. What do you do when you have a friend and you don't like him that much?
I ignore them.
You ignore them, okay.
I just pretend to be happy with them.
Oh, pretend to be happy, okay.
I don't have anything, so I don't do anything.
Don't do a thing. Go ahead.
I ignore them and I walk away.
All right, so we got ignoring, walking away, don't do anything, and pretending to be happy. I gotta say, I have done all of those things with annoying friends. I don't know if any of the adults here. Right, okay. We also can do other things, which is the subject of the story and really of the whole worship service. Yes, truly, we can do other things, and it will be the subject of your religious education, which you will go to after we tell this story of Frog and Toad. Sorry, I forgot an important role of the snail. Frog, Toad, and Snail. Not on the cover of the book, I might add. The story of Frog, Toad, and Snail. Frog ran up to Toad's house, knocked on the front door. There was no answer. "Toad, Toad," shouted Frog. "Wake up, it is spring!"
Blah.
Said a voice from inside the house. The frog was "Toad, Toad," cried Frog. "The sun is shining, the snow is melting, wake up!"
I'm not here.
Said the voice. So Frog opened up the door with his mouth, because he can't move his arms, at least not to open the door. He got, thanks for the help, and the door opened slowly. Frog wandered into Toad's house and looked for Toad, and eventually, please turn the page. All the shutters were closed, and Frog couldn't find Toad anywhere. "Toad, where are you?" called Frog.
Go away,
Said the voice from a corner of the room. "There's Toad." Toad was in fact lying in bed. Toad had pulled all the covers over his head. So Frog pushed Toad out of bed and pushed him all the way out of the house and onto the front porch.
Help.
Said Toad.
I cannot see anything.
But don't be silly, said Frog. What you see is the clear, warm light of April. Sorry, I meant to say March. It says April. It means we can begin a whole new year together, Toad. Think of it. We'll skip through the meadows, run through the woods, swim in the river. In the evenings, we'll sit right here on this porch and count the stars,
You can count them, Frog.
said Toad.
I will be too tired. I'm going back to bed.
What? Toad went back into the house. All the way to the right, back to the house. Got into bed, pulled the covers over his head again. But Toad, cried Frog, you will miss all the fun.
Listen, Frog, how long have I been asleep?
You have been asleep since November, said Frog.
Well then, a little more sleep would not hurt me. Come back again when it's about past May. Go away, Frog.
past May? Frog was discouraged. But then he had an idea, which I think is on the next page. Frog went over back to his house, found a pen and a paper, and he wrote, again, writing with his mouth. The arms don't work. And he found an envelope and put the letter in the envelope and took the letter, found his friend the snail. said Frog. Oh, thanks. Can you, Snail, I know that you deliver the meal. Could you please bring this to Toad?
Sure, right away.
That's fantastic. Then Frog went all the way back to Toad's house, which is different than where Snail was, and found Toad and said, "Hi, Toad. You look very sad."
Yes, this is my sad time of day. It is a time when I wait for the mail to come, and it always makes me very unhappy.
"Why is that?" asked Frog.
Because I never get any mail.
"Not ever?"
No, never.
said Toad.
No one has ever sent me a letter. Every day my mailbox is empty. That is why waiting for the mail is a sad time for me.
So Frog and Toad sat on the porch, feeling sad together. Boo-hoo indeed. Then Frog said, this is actually when he goes and writes the letter. I got it wrong.
Improv. Improv at UU St. Pete.
It's just like how we rehearsed it. "Toad," said Frog, "I think you should get up, because now you're no longer waiting, and you're going to wait for the mail some more."
Toad.
Are you tired of waiting for the mail? Because I think there's a reason to wait for the mail now.
Why do you keep looking out of the window?
Yeah, because I think somebody might send you a letter today.
But there will not be any.
Oh, maybe there will, though. Maybe there will. Wait, hold on. Frog kept looking for the snail to deliver the mail, but strangely, the snail hadn't made it yet. "Hey, Toad, let's wait a little longer for the mail, shall we?"
Well, why are we going to wait a little later?
Well, because, I don't know, hold on. Kept looking for the snail. Snail kept not being there. "I just have a feeling you're going to get a letter today."
You have?
"Yeah, because I sent you a letter! Yay!"
What did you write me in the letter?
I wrote, "Dear Toad, I am glad that you are my best friend, your best friend, Frog."
Oh?
Yeah.
That makes a very good letter.
Then Frog and Toad went out onto the front porch to wait for the letter. Frog and Toad waited a long time. 4 days later, the snail got to Toad's house, gave him the letter to from Frog, and Toad was very pleased to have it. The end. Thank you, Snail. Thank you, kids. Yeah.
I know why took 4 days.
Why did it take 4 days?
It's slow.
Because it's slow. Do you think Toad was made happy by the letter?
I think maybe something happened to Snail, so they had to get a replacement snail.
Replacement snail. Well, we're still figuring out what song to sing, because apparently you don't like Go Now in Peace, but we haven't figured it out yet. What, you have an idea for a new song?
La 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 la.
Blah, 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 blah. Oh, blah, 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 blah is your favorite song? Well, unfortunately, we're going to sing Go Now in Peace one more time until we figure a better one. Have fun at your religious education classes. Go now in peace, may the of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Okay, that's all.
They rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. It's amazing. And yet they still instill this quality of improvisation into it, bringing it to life.
Amazing, isn't it? When the waters are deep, friends carry me over.
When I cry in my sleep, love calls me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. When I'm weary and cannot swim, friends carry me over. They open their arms and take me in, love calls me home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tend me on my journey, love call me home. Life offers a chance for friends to carry us over. Time can stop or can dance, love calls us home. Time ferry me down the river, friends carry me safely over. Life tends me on my journey, love call me home.
Hello. Raise your hand if you have a friend that you really love. Sorry. At the beginning of this year, I asked Karen Cole if I could serve on the transition team. I was determined to do my part in helping this community heal and move forward from the fallout of the pandemic and the fraught departure of our previous minister, Reverend Jack Donovan. With Beth Stombaugh, Michael Pohl, Rebecca Wilson, Reverend Ben, and I undertook the task of the transition team, we consulted the Janus workbook provided by the UUA. The first paragraph in the workbook was written by a UU minister, Andrew Backus, to his colleague who was just beginning his term at a UU church. It said, "Congratulations, my friend, and welcome to parish ministry. Allow me, as you begin, however, to remind you of just a few things. You're not in charge here. This is not your church. You are not indispensable. You are called to be a minister among the people of this church as they conduct its affairs. It is much less their responsibility to minister to you than you to them, and you can and will be replaced." Those words definitely made us sit up and take notice. And yet I believe in them. It is up to us to create and be a vibrant community. The transition team has been conducting interviews with longtime members, asking them to describe their identities as UUs, their relationship with this congregation, UUSP actions they were proud of, and lessons learned from the less than stellar moments. Some comments that stood out for me identified communication between the board and the congregation as an essential strategy for building trust, so necessary when handling challenging times. Also, how valuable it is to listen to the experiences of those who came before us. The issues we are facing now are not new. They're just repackaged. What remains constant is our commitment to this faith and to each other, helping each other proceed on their own spiritual path, whether it's teaching children, serving pancakes and coffee, or working towards social justice. We are currently working on task 1, looking back at our history. We dusted off a timeline that this community prepared years ago. It's a fun opportunity to insert our own names in this shared history and memorialize the significant milestones we are witnessing together. We are amending a living, vibrant history and invite you to join in on this exercise. We're also beginning task 2, looking forward. For this task, we will reach out to each one of you, beginning with small group ministries, as Beth mentioned, such as covenant groups, committees, interest groups, and the like. We'll be asking you one question to help spur our shared vision for what we want UUSP to be. Task 2, which is discovering a new identity, asks us to reflect and comment on who we are now in this present context and what it is we understand our calling to be. This is our shared task of developing the vision to which this congregation is being called. We invite you to join us on these tasks, both looking back at our history and visioning exercise as we recovenant with each other to be the UUSB community we strive to be. Thank you.
Some of you might not have met my wife, Lucinda. She's here being bathed by sunlight, looking gorgeous in the second pew. We've been married for almost 21 years now, and early on in our relationship, we were on a road trip in Massachusetts, which is where we're from. We stopped to get gas and paid at the pump, and then we wanted snacks because road trip. Went inside. The line was pretty long for the snacks, and pretty quickly we saw why. The guy in front was arguing with the person who was selling the snacks. And it wasn't just an argument, it was an argument. It was voices raised, it was pointing fingers, it was leaning over. It was a little scary for me. We looked at each other and left. Kept driving, and I said, honey, did you hear that customer threaten that guy near the end? She said, well, yeah, I knew they were fighting, but I didn't hear him actually threaten the guy. I said, it was a threat, and threatening is a crime. I'm calling 911. I started dialing on her cell phone. She said, you're not going to call 911. It was a huge crowd of people there. If the fight escalates, there's plenty of people there to witness it. I said, you can't tell me what to do. My career at the time was to stop violence, stop violence. I saw a crime being committed, criminal threatening, I'm calling. She said, don't call 911. I'm asking you, it will really feel uncomfortable if you do it. I said, fine. Stop dialing. And we drove in angry silence for a couple of minutes. Finally, I asked Lucinda if she was okay. She said, yeah. I asked her, was that our first fight? She said, I suppose it was. I said, how did the fight go for you? She looked at me like I had 3 heads. But eventually, we did, in fact, debrief and analyze our first fight that we had just gone through. We figured out that, yes, we both had gotten angry, and both of us had raised our voices. But we figured out we stuck to the topic, we didn't call names, it didn't last too long, and in the end, we were able to come back together. I told her I was excited that we had resolved our first fight, our first major conflict. And again, she looked at me like I had 3 heads. But to me, resolving a conflict in a relationship is even more exciting than a romantic dinner. The romantic dinners, well, some romantic dinners don't go well, but, generally, the measure of a relationship to me is not how well things go when they're going well. It's how tolerable things go when they're not going well. Lucinda and I took and take then and now our relationship and our marriage covenant seriously. Lucinda's taught me how to communicate in ways that I was not comfortable with at first, like buying cards. It means a lot to her, and even though I'm not a card buyer, now I could personally support Hallmark. And in the end, for both of us, our relationship is more important than being right, than our habits, my habit of not buying cards, for example. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King once said, the measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Now, I'm guessing if Dr. King were alive today, he would not have used he as the general singular. He wouldn't have said stand. He would have been educated by the feminist movement and the disability rights movement, as I have, and would say the ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in moments of comfort and controversy. No, I said stand again. Not where they are in moments of comfort and controversy, but where they are in times of challenge and controversy, or maybe how they are. I think this is true not just of marriage, but of any friendship, like the kids' friendship they're talking about, of any relationship, but especially of a covenant relationship. I was told Florida's weather in the winter would be nice, as in not this cold. And granted, it's still a lot colder up in New England, where our house is. They've been getting a lot of snow. But people told me in general that if I'm thinking of moving to Florida, I should try a summer first and see if I can make it through. So I moved here in August of this past year. In retrospect, that might not have been the wisest decision. Most of you remember it was like a furnace hot and almost like another planet. But I made it through, and all of you did, except unless you were in North Carolina or somewhere. That's how you made it through. And you all tell me, well, wait for the winter. The winter will be your reward. And we have today, but generally winter has been the reward. Now, Elle, looks like Eli, Elle, Ashley, Juliana, Ruby, James, if you still sign our book after my words up here in the front, if I have not scared you off, you're basically committing yourselves to a covenant relationship with those around you. Joanne was just like, are you still going to sign the book? Elle's like, yes, I am. You're committing to all these people in a way that's not the same as my covenant marriage to Lucinda, but in some ways not different. We're going to have some honeymoon moments, some romantic dinners. Well, it's a romantic pancake breakfast, I think. But we'll also have these times of challenge and controversy that Dr. King talks about, just like any marriage, just like any child or adult's friend, just like this worship service, just like the weather in Florida. Last Sunday, some of you witnessed a conflict during Joy's sorrows and concerns, and it was messy. It was emotional. And I hope all the parties involved, I hope all the folks affected by that still feel welcome in this church, because you are. And last Sunday, 14 people were visiting the church for the first time. So part of me is like, what was that like? Suddenly to be plunged into this conflict from so long ago. And I hope, if any of you are those people, I hope you came back. It would be nice if visitors and new folks would get an automatic honeymoon period. Like maybe we only let new people come during blessing of the animals or something. And it would also be nice if Florida always had perfect weather or my marriage was free of conflict. But that's just not realistic. Sabina just now told us that these issues we're facing now are not new. They're just repackaged. What remains, she continued, is our commitment to this faith and to each other. Helping each other, she said, helping each other proceed on their own spiritual path, whether it's teaching children, serving pancakes and coffee, or working toward social justice. I received a very kind email from one of you this week, apologizing, saying, sorry, I was feeling a bit fragile. And I was like, number one, apology accepted. Number two, we're all feeling fragile. I'm feeling very fragile. We're having the 2-year anniversary of the pandemic in the United States. I mean, I literally had to go home on Thursday with nausea, and I'm like, I wonder why I'm nauseous. And then I had time to look up the term anniversary reaction. And our fragility is not just from COVID. You all lost your minister of the last 7 years. I asked Janae to move the RE, the religious education, downstairs, and I didn't warn anyone. 2 of you have resigned from the facilities management plan. And that's just in here. Outside our walls, the Florida legislature voted to restrict women's reproductive freedom, voted to tell teachers they can't say gay. And even further outside our walls, Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. The ultimate measure of a church is not how we are in moments of comfort and convenience, but how we are in times of challenge and controversy. And I'm still trying to figure out how to serve you best during all this. Most of you know this is my first ministry, so I'm not only new to UU St. Petersburg, I'm new to ministry. I just graduated from divinity school. Fortunately, I'm not alone. I have a committed cadre of leaders in this congregation. I'm seeing some of you here that I turn to when I'm unsure. I have colleagues, both in Unitarian Universalism and without, whose words and wisdom I turn to when I'm unsure. Reverend Otis Moss III, for example, is the senior pastor of Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. That's where the Obamas went to church when they lived there. And in his new book, Blue Note Preaching in a Post-Soul World, Finding Hope in an Age of Despair, Reverend Otis says, if you dance long enough, weeping may endure for a night, but joy will come in the morning. It's the job of every preacher, he says, to teach the congregation to dance in the dark. Don't let the darkness find its way in you. Dance in the dark. Are you willing to dance in the dark with me? Because it's not all conflict right now. I mean, when I got to the office, the phones weren't working. Morgan made them work. Thank you, Morgan. Now Kelly answers them cheerfully every day. I had no air conditioning. I mean, I had it, but it sounded like a freight train. People come to my office like, I can either hear you or you can be cool. Which would you prefer? Buildings and Grounds had new air conditioning installed. We found a computer for me. I didn't have a computer. We found a computer. Reggie. Do you hear Reggie? Where are you? Well, he's not here. It was just his birthday. He and so many others have built this absolutely spectacular kitchen. Who's seen the kitchen since Reggie has rebuilt it? Oh my goodness, you have to see the kitchen before you go. It is so gorgeous. The church is functioning like a church again. When I arrived, there was no chair of the worship team. And we rarely knew what was going to go on any given Sunday until, well, the Sunday. And now we have Susan Bernor. Where are you, Susan? She's resting because she's the chair of worship team. We have this fantastic chair. We have wonderful crew of worship associates like Beth. We're trying out the view from the pew. Our worship topics are going on the website over a month in advance now. And look, we get to have worship in person as well as on YouTube. When I arrived, Janae mostly was in her office upstairs. And she had tried, along with some volunteers, to do religious education online. It was just too hard. Couldn't hold kids' attention. Now her desk is downstairs at the center. RE classes are wheelchair accessible for the first time in years. The rooms can still be used by anyone. And they're being used by RE right now. Kids are coming back. You saw them here. So are their parents. When I arrived, John and James were producing these gorgeous music videos. We got to see their backyard a lot. Now we still get their voices, don't get their backyard, but we get Aaron playing the piano, Aaron playing the organ. We get our singers doing solos and duets. And we get to sing along behind our masks. Worship was pre-recorded then. Then we got back together one glorious day in December. Then we had to leave again one sad day in January. But the worship services stayed live. even when COVID forced us to be virtual. So James, Kelly, and many others figured out this Mevo camera there and live streamed the worship services. Today, our worship is a technological marvel, making it accessible both to people here in the sanctuary, but also around the world. When I arrived, people weren't even sure about our membership numbers because folks had quit or drifted off. I saw Carol, where'd she go? Carol, and many others she would want me to say, but Carol initiated this beautiful reconnection where we called, we visited, we spent time with one another, with people we hadn't seen in months, in years, so that even during COVID, we could renew our connections. And Reverend Aaliyah just finished her second class for new members. Today, 5 of them, I hope, are going to sign the book. The care team had no chair when I got here. I mean, you all were still looking out for one another, but there was no care team, and so folks who weren't socially connected to each other in a covenant group were falling through the cracks. And Linda Paul stepped forward. Linda, you here? I'm kind of glad that most of the that people who do a lot of work are like home. But Linda Paul did step up, and now the care team has regular monthly meetings, organizes cards, organizes meal drives, phone calls, rides to medical appointments. They're even writing a charter, along with many other teams and committees, all writing charters. And when I got here, UU St. Pete had been, so I'm told, largely absent from visible public social justice ministry, with the exception of FAST, our Friday night events, and the Tiny Homes Project. And then many of you joined behind our banner for the Women's March, the MLK Parade, the Roe versus Wade anniversary, and the vigil for folks in Ukraine just 2 weeks ago. And yesterday, many of us joined together at City Hall right over there, telling legislators it's okay to say gay in our schools. John and James replaced the Black Lives Matter that had been tattered and torn out in the front. It got vandalized. They replaced it again. And when the St. Pete LGBTQ March happens in June, we will be there siding with love, and I hope you can be there too. This is starting to feel a little State of the Union-y, except without the heckling from Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, don't. You don't have to. And by me saying it like this, I don't mean to imply that these things wouldn't have happened without me. They are the result of your hard work. And when I arrived, many things were operating full steam. Janae, James, and Kelly DeGraw, and many others on the publications team were consistently putting out high-quality newsletters, making regular posts on our social media, keeping our congregation and our wider community informed. A well-organized group of volunteers were feeding people every Friday, led by Jerry Humphrey-Gatz and Sabina von Alloch. They were building the first tiny home, which is about to be occupied by a deserving person. All this happened, and all these things continue to happen. Covenant groups continued meeting, even though some of you were geographically far. With the miracle of technology, you got to have your covenant groups on Zoom. Support groups and small group ministries happened. Discussion groups kept happening. There are plenty of triumphs, plenty of hard work that I didn't mention just now. Sabina's right. Beth's right. Some of us have had conflicts. Some of us have left. But more of us have stayed. More of us have worked through the conflicts. I just had the honor of working with some of you on Friday. Really hard, messy, emotional work that we did in my office with tears and tissue and anger and love and commitment. Finally, hand-holding and hugs. It was exhausting. For me, it was exhausting, and I wasn't even directly involved. So I'm assuming much more exhausting for the parties involved. But I've said it before, I will do it over and over again for anyone who needs it. Beth said at the beginning, we are a people of many beliefs. Some of us believe in God or goddess. Some of us don't. But all of us, she said, share a common faith that what we do in this world matters and that we are connected to one another and to the planet. And I think that all of us know there's something bigger than us. Maybe you don't think it's something supernatural. Maybe you just think it's the work we do together and who we are together. And even those of you most atheists might forgive me if I call that holy. So if you don't mind me saying God or holiness as this shorthand for something bigger than ourselves, I do think that God and holiness was present in my office on Friday as we did that difficult emotional labor of conflict resolution. I believe God or holiness is present at each of these committee meetings and team meetings as we do the absolutely essential, not always interesting work of ministry, work of our community. God and holiness are present when John and James sang for us just now, and when Aaron plays his music. When each new person walks through our door, I see some new faces, and that you are greeted, hopefully your first friendly greeting of many friendly greetings for years to come. We've done so much together, despite incredibly difficult experiences. And the ultimate measure of a church is not how we are in moments of comfort and convenience, but how we are in times of challenge and controversy. Sabina quoted from Reverend Kathy McGowan earlier, and I will do the same. Reverend Kathy says, as Unitarian Universalists, we hold our relationships at the center of our faith tradition. Because of this, and this sounds like you, Karen, how we are together is most sacred. Our promises of how we are going to be are held in our covenants. Our covenants are our aspirations of how we are going to make ourselves and the world a better place. If you are truly willing to live a life of reverence and respect beyond yourself, she says, then you can live a covenantal life. If you strive to have healthy relationships, intentionally attend to them, you know when you're out of covenant. You know when something is wrong, when something is broken. You know when you're out of right relationship. It's up to each one of us, she says, to pay attention to these most sacred bonds and do our part to aid in the healing of any brokenness. So James, Elle, Ashley, Juliana, Ruby, you are not joining a perfect church. You are not joining a church free from conflict. But if you sign this book, I promise you will join a church where we work for peace in the world and in our hearts. If you sign this book, I promise you'll join a church where we work for justice in our community and in our relationships. If you sign the book, I promise you triumphs and joy and tears and messy moments. I promise you romantic dinners. What's the church equivalent of a romantic? Pancake breakfast. Again, I promise you pancake breakfasts, and I promise you conflict, and I promise you resolution. Ours is no caravan of despair. I guess I'd rather my marriage be free of conflict. It would be more comfortable. I guess I'd rather be in Florida just in the winter and not in the summer. But even in the summer, it's tolerable because I'm with you. So as John and James sang to us, time, ferry me down the river. Friends, carry me safely over. Life, tend me on my journey. Love, call me home. We have important work to do together. There's no one I'd rather do it with than you all. Amen. Blessed be.
Remember our connection to one another, and let us not forget our contributions to support the means to those connections. The link to give online is in the description box below your screen. You can also donate through the Vanco Faith Engagement mobile app or on our website under the Giving tab at uustpete.org or by sending a check to the church office. In the sanctuary, our ushers will now pass the offering bowls. If you are a newcomer here, please refrain from making a donation. This service is our gift to you, and your presence is your gift to us. While the offering is being given and received, our new members, Ashley Healy, Juliana Cababianco, Maldonado, and Ruby Atwood will sign our membership book. And James, many thanks.
I wrote it down too. Thank you, Aaron. Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Leah Cannon, and I am a minister in ADF, the Druid Fellowship. And I want to welcome you to New Member Sunday. I had the pleasure of completing the second class for new members. We're up to 9 new members. Isn't that exciting? And that's just in 2 months. You know, one of the beauties of shared ministry is that when you're all on the same page, before I even knew what Ben was going to talk about this morning, I was going to do the Come, Come, Whoever You Are song. It's right here in my notes. Because I wanted to talk about a very important lesson in that the line goes, lover of leaving. Why would we invite a lover of leaving into our church home? Well, we're always leaving. We're always starting over. We're always starting fresh. Spring is a time of new beginnings. We've been through 10 settled ministers. We're on our 12th minister, other than settled. Every time we leave something behind, we gain something new and exciting. And change can really suck. But it can also bring exciting new opportunities too. It makes us uncomfortable, but it also helps us to grow. And just like the sunflowers up here, the plants in the spring, sometimes as a congregation, we're going to get a little too much sun in the summer. We're going to get a little too much rain. And sometimes we're going to get it just right. And I want to welcome our new members. I hope you all give them a very warm welcome.
Will you take a second to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Ashley. I am here from South Dakota and am a graduate of USF. Hi, I'm Juliana. I'm here from Long Island, New York.
Jim Furdell from, well, I've been living here, well, I've actually been coming to this church for 20-some years. I just never actually joined it. I guess I'm a transferee. But I used to be in the Tampa church that long ago.
Hello, I'm Ruby Atwood. I live here in St. Petersburg. I'm originally from Louisiana, and St. Petersburg is my home now, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So hi, my name is Elle, and I'm local since 2000 actually. So I call Pinellas Park home, and I'm excited that this is my new church home. I don't know who to give the microphone to.
Are you going to introduce the gifts or?
Oh, Jamie Gray is going to, our greeter leader is going to give you each a flower and a t-shirt. So you don't just get a new member class, you get a new t-shirt. And there's one other thing I want to add. Yesterday, as you know, many of us attended the It's Okay to Say Gay rally. And just in case by a stroke of fate that our governor is watching out in YouTube land, gay. We are all teachers, and we are going to say gay.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Before you can just stay standing for another second. If you're exhausted, go ahead and sit down. We're about to, somebody's cool phone is like playing a tune. before we do our traditional chalice extinguishing, you might have noticed a lot of these folks have been shanghaied into doing parts of the service. So Ruby Ruby said yes to lighting the chalice, and the two of you rang the bell, and Elle will extinguish our chalice. But before we do that, I wanted us to, you know how at our wedding anyway, they made Lucinda and I say stuff, but then they had everyone else say something, because even in the wedding, it was a covenant between the people there and us. And they said something like, will you support our marriage? And this is a bit of a longer commitment than our wedding folks had, because you're really accepting them as part of us. And so I wrote something, and it's in the, can I look at it? We spent so much time coming up with this language this morning as Kelly was typing it. And here's what we have. If everyone could turn to the second page where it says new members sign the book, and congregation in unison, I'm going to read each sentence to you, and then you will repeat it, saying to them, we greet you with love. We see your inherent worth and dignity. Welcome to UU St. Pete. Thank you. And as the children come back, feel free to follow along with the hand gestures as our new member, El Maldonado, extinguishes our chalice. The words are in your order of service, and YouTube Live, I haven't forgotten you. The words are in your text chat. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Go in peace. Blessed be.